Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Tom's Truck Center. My name is Carla Sanchez, and I'm the Communications Director here at the HTA. Today's session is going to walk you through the main California rules affecting Class 8 trucks, including the Clean Truck Check, the Advanced Clean Fleet rules for government fleets, and the Clean Truck Port requirements. Joining me today are Lisa McGhee and Tim Manzano. Before I hand it over to them, though, I do want to let everybody know that this session is being recorded and it'll be posted on our website in the next couple of days. And I also want to remind everybody that HTA's webinar sole purpose is to educate our members and the broader community on critical supply chain and drayage industry issues. And no content can be repurposed or disseminated publicly without the expressed written consent of the Harbor Trucking Association. Now, throughout the session, we do encourage you to engage with us. Please feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll be addressing them toward the end of the webinar. If we run out of time and don't get to your question, you can email me at carla@harbortruckers.org, and I'm happy to get the answer for you. All right, well, I'm going to hand it over to Lisa and Tim to get us started.
Sure, I'll go ahead. we're already starting off on. So just want to let everybody know we're having a couple of technical issues here. I think that the presentation was sent over to Carla, so give us just bear with us. We're trying to get that presentation up, and Carla will wait for you on that. But just to kind of maybe just talk about some of the high level stuff just right off the bat. We want to go over a lot of information and hopefully that you'll get something out of this. Now, we're real good at being able to know how to go over this information, but we're not very good at being able to go and do these webinars. These are some of our first ones. So bear with us. I'm sure there's going to be some speed bumps, but I can guarantee you that we will be able to get to that information that we're real excited to go over with you guys. I don't know, Carla, if we're got something ready to pop up there or not.
Almost there.
Almost there. Okay, very good. Just to introduce myself, and I'm sure it's going to be on one of these screens. I'm the VP of Sales of Tom's Truck, and with us is Lisa McGhee, which is our resident guru. And we hired her some time ago because we knew that this area would have a lot of complexity to it. So Lisa, go ahead and introduce you and kind of turn it over to you for a second.
Hey everybody, hi, thank you. I'm the Zero Emission Programs and Affairs Manager, and happy to be presenting to you today. I've just sent Carla over the presentation because we had to go to a plan B right now. So Carla, did you get the presentation? I can try to present on this end to see if it goes live. So I'm going to try that right now, you guys. And then Carla, you have the backup in case for some reason it goes out again on me.
Sure.
Okay, great. All right, you guys, I'm going to try to present now.
And by the way, thanks for everybody that's chimed in here or logged in or part of this, like Carla said before. Definitely encourage interaction, and we will have a Q&A at the very end because I'm sure some of this stuff, we're going to be going over rather quickly. So it looks like we got some activity here at the, kind of, sort of, not, yeah, let's see if that works. Like I said, guys, we're not the best at this stuff just yet.
Hey, Lisa, at the bottom, you see it, the one, there you go. That's it. And there's also a presentation mode. Yep, you're good.
Yeah, no, you have to just give it a couple of seconds on my end. It's not reacting. I don't know if it's the bandwidth issue or what, but just give it a couple of seconds. I can't get to it until it pops up.
Seems to be a slight delay there, huh?
Oh man.
Oh boy, yeah, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, it's probably you're gonna have to present. I sent it to you. Well, let me try again. I don't know if it's gonna do it. There it goes. Okay. Maybe I can get it. Is it on?
And it is, but you need to drop down one more. Remember how it said presenter mode or share? I think there's a little drop down right there.
I know, I'm trying.
I really apologize, everybody. I'm glad we took an hour for this. Oh boy.
I think I finally got it. Okay, there we go, you guys.
Sweet, thank you.
All right,
Awesome.
I think you guys can see the screen now. Correct?
Yes. Yeah, there
All
it
right,
is.
you guys. Thank you for bearing with us. This is Tom's Truck Center presenting for our topic today is on Keep Rolling in California for Class 8 trucks and the messy road ahead. I'm going to turn it over to Tim, who's the Vice President of Sales.
Yeah, so as we were stating earlier, we introduced ourselves and like we were saying, there's a lot of information to go over. So yeah, thank you, Dave. He's given us a high clap or a high five that we got it up. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Lisa.
Well, yeah, let me just kind of go over, if you don't mind, Tim. We've got regulations and updates that we'll be reviewing today. And we'll be reviewing a little bit more about the Advanced Clean Fleet rule that is currently under a repeal, except for the state government. We're talking about truck procurement, subsidies, and solutions. We'll have some poll questions. There'll be 5 different poll questions with some Q&A after the presentation. And this meeting is recorded. We've also got some acronyms in the bottom left-hand corner that will pop up and apply today. Internal combustion engines, zero emission vehicles, the Advanced Clean Fleet regulation, the Clean Truck Check, and the Warehouse Actions and Investments to Reduce Emissions program, and the California Clean Fuel Rewards program as well. I'll turn it to the next slide, and for you, Tim.
Okay. You'll also know we're going to have some poll questions as we go along. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about us. So why is Tom's putting on, this presentation? Why should I, listen to them? Well, we've been in the zero emission vehicles section or sector for since 2010, and I think even before, with partial zero emission vehicles like the hybrid trucks in the past. And then really has been ramping up over the last 3 years. And we've just got a lot of exposure to some of the speed bumps that we ran over, a lot of the things that, that we had to work our way through. And we want to kind of bring some of that, visibility here today on some of the things that we've kind of experienced and some of the things that are going on right now. So, we've been in business now for 50 years. And really, the reason why we got in this space is because we knew our customers were going to have questions. And I think it was important for us to go find the answers so that when they asked, we could answer with confidence. So we've been, like I said, doing this for a while, and we've had some really great success. And so we want to share some of that with you. And just so you know, our goal is, and I should say our mission statement is, we're driven to keep you driving. And so that's a little bit about the message today. We want to know how, and let you guys know what we are seeing going on, what's happening, and what are maybe some of the changes that we can expect. But hopefully that unpacks it a little bit about us. Go ahead, next slide.
Yeah, and I'll add a little bit there, Tim. So just to kind of add to what Tim was explaining, not only do we have the new and used trucks in terms of for sale, we've also got a rental program, and we've got about 35 ZEVs in that program, as well as a 2-bed depot station. So we're really trying hard to invest in the different technologies to provide more choices for our customers going forward. I'll turn over the next slide, Tim.
Okay, very good. Oh, there's a lot of information right there. This is just a little bit about what I was talking about. So, Lisa, would you like to go over this slide with us? Because, boy, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, this is what we talked about, who we were, and this is a little bit about the target that we're speaking to today. This was just to give you guys a quick overview of the current California heavy-duty truck population. So this is from the 2024 vehicle registration database that CARB maintains. And you can see here in the different columns, we've got it by model year. So I've got the 2000 to 2009 across that first row, and the 2010 to 2019 registered vehicles in the second row, and then the last row is the 20 through 2024 vehicle registered population. So it's interesting when you look at this, Tim, you can see that diesel, when you drop down to the bottom there, it says it's got 220,815 vehicles. 95% of the registered vehicles today in California. Gas is less than 5%, is less than a percent. And then CNGs, 12,000 units, 5%, and ZEV 649, about 3%. So that's the market. So a lot of aged out trucks. So it's interesting to see what will come away from today in terms of how they move forward with any new types of truck purchases. Anything to add, Tim?
No, I just think it's interesting that it's obvious that diesel is just dominant, absolutely dominant in the Class 8 tractor business, but we already knew that. It's always been, the way to go, of course. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. Oh, here's poll question number 1. Lisa, if you want to go over that.
Yeah, it'll pop up so you guys will have access to participate. We have 5 questions today. Please participate. This is just telling us a little about what is the current technologies and operations that you're using, and these are the 5 choices. And then HTA and Carla will pop that in so you guys can see the questions. Let's give it a few minutes or a couple seconds here.
Yeah, so we'll just give that a little bit, see what pops up.
And Carla, how many people do we have in the meeting today?
I think she said like 85, Lisa. So that's how many registered, but I don't know how many.
Yeah,
right
I
now
show Lisa, Tom, Tim, I show 43 people online.
Correct. Yeah, I see that number up.
Sorry about that. Had difficulties. Here it is.
No worries. Okay, so I guess one person voted so far. Oh no, here they come. There we go. We get a little activity there. There we go. So who do we got here? 38%. Oh, actually, I guess we're gonna wait until this kicks in. What is your current technology and operations? And 26% voted so far. Looks like we got. Wow, ZEV, a lot of ZEV in there. That's a little surprising.
All right, I'm going to give a few more seconds. We're going to give it a minute here. All right. I think it stopped moving, so I'm going to share the results with everybody.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe. There we go. Now it's ended. So the current operations technology is 42% ZEV and 21% ICE. That is interesting. And then facility warehouse business with 10,000 square feet. I'm sorry, 100,000 square feet. It's 26%. Small business, independent, and that's what we were expecting there. Small business, independent owner operators at the majority of the percentage of 42%. So interesting though about ZEV. And by the way, just so y'all, zero emission vehicles, ICE is internal combustion engine. That includes gas and diesel. So, okay, let's go to the next slide, Lisa. All right, drive forward, car. But go ahead and go over this for us there, Lisa.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that we were trying to get more information out today is to make sure everyone, beyond the fact that we know that we're going through a lot of changes related to both the technology and the administration and the waivers that have been repelled, CARB is trying to find a way forward to deploy these ZEVs. So Executive Order N 2725 was passed in June of 2025 with the intention to reaffirm the commitment to the ZEVs and to advance the adoption and to develop new regulations around GHG and the criteria NOx pollutants from the tractors. And then also to imagine and make sure that we're reconsidering the programs with not only the new regulations, but also aligning it with the old regulations and providing more flexibility for funding and participation for advancement. So there's a lot more to come, but what I think this is really telling us is that we don't know what the new regulations are going to be, but they're coming.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of changes going on. All right, so let's talk about the clean truck check, which I know a lot of people have heard about, some haven't. So, you know, what is it? Why the clean truck check, Lisa? What's going on here for us?
Yeah, I think this is one of these rules and regulations that really has enforcement. And so to give you the background, right, the heavy duty world has kind of been in its own lane when it comes to pollutants, in terms of being very, very, very active in terms of pollution in the air quality and trying to find a way to mitigate that. And so you can see in the upper right-hand corner, just to kind of give you a quick bird's eye view of California's air quality, you can see all the red, right? That's indicating an F in all those areas. So you can see a large population in California. So with 2009 and older diesels have been taken off the California roads, CTC is the clean truck check, which is specific to diesel regulations for vehicles that are over 14,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. Interesting, out-of-state vehicles are currently under litigation. However, CARB has made it clear that they're going to keep enforcing the rule. So everyone's kind of have to navigate their own way forward. But nonetheless, litigation still impacts the California registered vehicles. And existing diesels are also still able to retrofit a 2010 or newer engine. So this is kind of the baseline of what the clean truck check is. And then on this next page, Tim, this is what the behaviors are that each fleet, in order to be compliant, has to maintain, which is a new reporting process that already began, and testing, which started in 2025 at 2 times per year for each of the subject trucks. And in 2027, that goes to 4 times a year. So wow. Each of these tests must be passed successfully within 30 days of the deadline date. And all of this is tied to the DMV registration, which really does make the enforcement specific to each truck.
Wow. So what I'm seeing here is if you've got a fleet of, let's say, 10 trucks, and starting next year, that's 40 emission checks a year. Yes. That seems like a lot.
Crazy. Yeah. And if anybody knows about diesel, right? Diesel likes to run long and heavy. And if you're in stop and go in California, or you're in the ports and not running long distance, right? That stop and go just clogs up with the diesel particulate filters. And, you know, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy to maintain successfully and passing. So I'm not sure how the industry, the drivers and those that are in this industry really feel about the concerns around how will they be able to maintain what you just said, Tim, 10 trucks 40 times a year. Crazy.
Yeah, that's going to be challenging, and I know that they're in the tractors, there's no gasoline tractors. Heck, maybe there is, but I don't think so. But gasoline is exempt. So like the class 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s, they are exempt, as well as ZEVs. So we still have the option of being able to purchase gas engines if we don't want to get into the ZEV. But then let's say in that fleet of 10, I've got one bad truck that's not passing. That throws my whole fleet into non-compliance as well. So that's another challenge. So those are all interesting. Now, an interesting thing about it also, and I wanted to ask a little bit about this, is the testing that can be included in your service contracts. Is that how does that work? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, dealers, Tom's does it. You'll find that other dealers are going to start in your preventive maintenance programs. You're probably going to start seeing this service is going to be available to make sure these trucks can maintain the heavy duty inspection requirements. And also you mentioned the fleet compliance. So just to really expand on this, you know, this is all lessons are being learned as we go through the first year of these heavy duty inspections, right, which was 2025. And we saw multiple customers that literally didn't get their registration because of this issue. We've tried to sell our new trucks. Same thing. The requirement to get your truck registered and reporting is all part of this. But
Yeah.
Interestingly, fleet compliance that you mentioned, Tim, you know, I'm kind of interested to know if anyone has more feedback on that. But the only thing that we're seeing is the enforcement's going to happen by truck. So the fleet compliance we're seeing is a fleet compliance related to whether it's 10 trucks or 1,000 trucks. And that one rotten truck could throw out a fleet compliance certificate, which is in your CTC portal. But the only thing that that's going to stop you from maybe doing is getting funding for a program. But it's not going to stop the fleet from running the other trucks outside of that one bad truck.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for that clarity. All right, we got poll question number 2. Go ahead with that, Lisa, if you want to talk about that. Or maybe I can just read this one.
Yeah, read it. Go ahead, Tim.
Sure. So, you know, what is your replacement plan when retiring trucks? So, you know, they run 1 million years. You know, there's some questions there you guys can select.
Yeah.
And we'll let that run for a little while. And we kind of want to know, you know, how long do you run your trucks, or is there a plan? And, you know, are you rolling them out sooner rather than later? Or are you holding them onto them until they die, if you will?
Hey, Tim, Lisa, I have a question just for edification purposes for everybody while they're doing their poll. How does an owner know when they have to perform and submit their CTC checks? Like right now, it's twice a year, correct? For the last year and this year, before it goes 4 times. What drives when they have to perform a CTC check and submit that? Is it the registration year? Is it the license plate? Can you just share that with the folks?
Yeah. So it is going to be by your registration expires every year. So that's your deadline date for California registered vehicles. So if your vehicle's expiration tags were December 31st, you have 90 days in front of that to get compliant with testing successfully. So that's your window period. So you can't go before that window period and just get all your trucks like tested at the beginning of the year, so to speak. You have a 90-day window from the expiration date, and you have to get successfully passed within 30 days of the deadline date. And that repeats. So if that, and then if you got 6 months later, so it's just going to roll 6 months based on that deadline date.
Okay.
And so if you have 10 trucks or 1,000 trucks, right, you've got literally a new behavior that needs to be managed internally to successfully do so. They've also got, when you sign up, they'll give you monthly reports. So once you start reporting, there's a tool that actually already alerts you and lets you know on a monthly basis where you're at.
Great. That's certainly helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's go over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go over. So, and this is what we expected. 8+ years is the plan on how long we're keeping the trucks. Of course, you know, you want to run those as long as you can. But interestingly enough, 200K to 400K miles is a higher percentage than 400+ K miles. So that's interesting. Now we have we have 7 people that are putting in their poll there. So hopefully we can get some more people jumping in, because that's a small batch of people there.
What's the percentage? Because I can't see the screen, Tim. I'm curious. What are those?
Sure. 57% of those that are running tractors are holding onto their trucks 8+ years. 14% 4 to 7 years, and 0% 1 to 3. And then as far as mileage, 200K to 400K, they're rolling them out it's 29%, and then 400K was 21% 401k plus, I should say.
Yeah, and even probably harbor trucking, you probably know this best, right? So a lot of these Class 8 tractors run such high miles, 50 to 70,000 miles a year. So yeah, that's interesting, but kind of to be expected. I don't know if anybody else has something to say on the harbor trucking side.
Yeah. Let's
go. The long haul trucks. You got and I say long haul, we're talking about like Central Valley or anything going to Arizona, Nevada, or even down to San Diego. Those guys are going to probably it's 4 to 7 years just because of the number of miles you're putting on those trucks. But anything closer, you're definitely going to be 8+ years because you're going to get the most out of that, right? And so they want to get the useful life out of that and the ROI. So it's not uncommon to have, higher than 400,000 plus miles and try to keep it 12 to 14 years.
Oh, good stuff there. Okay, let's go to that next slide there, Lisa. All right, this is the one that we want to talk about. And Lisa, I'm just going to let you go over the Advanced Clean Fleet, what it means for everyone here and what it means for governments.
Yeah, I think what's really, really important to know, because there was so much regulation centered around the Advanced Clean Fleet rule, which repelled fleets that are in drayage. It repelled private large fleets and large businesses, and also federal vehicles. So that happened September 2025. So those fleets are no longer regulated under the Advanced Clean Fleet rule. I think most of you guys know that. What that's done is created a lot of uncertainty as to where we're at. We're calling that the messy middle right now, right? We know that a lot of the OEMs are still moving cleaner technologies forward, so we're not going to go backwards. How we get there is still going to be determined by the OEMs and some of these regulations. But what is regulated is the local rule that CARB is going to still regulate existing state government fleets. And so what will happen is you're going to see that the existing fleets that are no longer subject, except for those that are the state government, will be keeping their trucks much longer. So I'll be curious to know, from this discussion today, even what HTA knows, because we're seeing that as well. And the ICE technology, while it's available, may be limitedly available, but, the ports certainly have a clean truck rule program. And then the Class 8 trucks will definitely require more services. So what we really try to emphasize, and Tim, you could probably speak on this more, is the types of contracts that really provide more services for the factors to have maintenance over that longer useful life. And then, interestingly, the ports will still maintain their penalties for those that are not operating clean trucks. And so I'll go into the next slide. This kind of really provides more information on the government schedule and some of the exemptions. But also what we're also seeing for dealerships is we're seeing a surge in used trucks that will be purchased, a delay in the ZEP technology, and a surcharge on pricing due to tariffs and emissions. So Tim, this is the schedule for the Advanced Clean Fleet rule that's been around. It hasn't changed in terms of it. Look, what has changed is there have been a 3-year delay. So that 3-year delay has moved the ZEV truck percentages from ending at 50% in 2027 to 2029, and 100% will begin in 2030. So the different considerations that will happen is that literally ICE can be operated indefinitely, and there is no useful life retirement. Compliance at any year period will be for all those purchases that you made. Extensions for compliance apply if the following happens. So if you have a ZEV delivery order that was delayed, get an extension. If infrastructure is delayed, you can have extensions up to 5 years. Interestingly, and we'll see what happens this year in some of the discussions at the board with CARB, but the CNG trucks are extended for use by waste and water fleets. And exemptions will apply and this is interesting, right? There's been a lot of back and forth, and some of these are improvements in the programs to help those that aren't ready for this technology. But basically, if you don't have a ZEV available with the same configuration and weight class, you get an exemption. If the ZEV doesn't meet your daily mileage or your power needs, you get an exemption. If you have low annual use of 1,000 miles or less, you get an exemption. If you had an accident, you can ask for an exemption. Emergency vehicle snow removal and transit agencies are all exempt. Some of those are only exempt until January 2030. And then agencies in the map that you see there that are shown in orange are designated counties with low populations. So they're exempt from their purchase requirements currently until 2027. They'll just fall back 3 years as well and begin in 2027 at 50%. And then they'll go through 2035.
So a couple of things I heard you say, and this is encouraging, is that we can continue to run our diesel trucks. There is no useful life anymore, and everything has been pushed back 3 years. So now we can take a breath, we can get some more information, and really start to plan on what it is that we're going to want to do when it comes to zero emissions, 3 years from now. And there's also some exemptions there as well. So it's not like ZEV is, you're going to have to do it in 3 years. There's a lot of moving parts here, but we can still run our diesel trucks. We can still run them. But I'm thinking that in a certain time frame, a certain percentage of our fleets are going to have some ZEV in it. So I'm sure that's coming up.
No, you're exactly right, Tim. Literally today, outside of a 2009 diesel rule, there is no regulation that's forcing you to get out of your diesel truck.
Right. That's actually good. That's encouraging.
Hey, Tim and Lisa, could I just make a comment here really quick before we move on? One thing that we are encouraging our members is to continuously plan. We know that although it's been repealed, the ACF, that we understand that CARB is already drafting a request for an exemption once if and ever the party and the new administration changes party lines, that they're going to go after the ACF again. And so it just kicked this thing down the line, and we should not hold our breath that we're going to be forever in an ICE engine. So, although this is why this is so important, this is why the cooperative agreement is so important to understand as well as fleet operators, because although there is no requirements from an ICE to turn that over, the cooperative agreement with the ports of LA and Long Beach and AQMD are going to incentivize the turnover, right? The helping fleets move over to reduce their operating costs. So that's still to TBD. But they're going to do everything they can to encourage fleets to continue to convert, because once the office changes in Washington, expect that the ACF or some version of it to come to fruition. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that, because we shouldn't rest our laurels that it's not going to happen.
No, it's a good point. Good point. Yeah. And then in the slides, you'll see in the future, we talk about the WARE program. We talk about those subsidy programs. So it's so critical. And yeah, no doubt about it that if you're in California, you're not going to get away from some type of mitigation program in transportation or warehouses or any type of NOx or HG because CARB is making sure that these pollutants are removed from our air quality with some type of technology replacement. This is just part of the ACF again. This is a milestone schedule. I think it's important to continue to understand, this particular rule and regulation is impacting government, right? We've got like 13,000 Class 8 waste tractors in the industry. We've got school buses, right? So we've got a lot of state-regulated entities. And I think as we see these groups of trucks, Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3, even parcel, right? At some point, they're going to be kind of guiding, I think, maybe what the OEMs may or may not do, but it will have an influence on our choices in the future. Because like you were just pointing out, is that these regulations are not here today, maybe as we once knew them, but they're being reinvented in some way that we will be impacted. So group 1 is box trucks, bus and yard tractors, and light duty package vehicles. They will be under the regulation at 10%, and that was began in 2025. Group 2 is the work trucks, pickup trucks, day cab tractors, and 3-axle buses, which began at 10% in 2027. And group 3 is the sleep tractors and specialty vehicles like waste. Those will begin at 10% in 2030. And you can see the schedule over each of those calendar years increases over time by these different groups.
Hey, Lisa, I know we had some technical issues in the very beginning there, and I know we chewed up some time, so I think we want to get going a little bit quicker here, so we have some Q&A, because I'm sure we're going to want that. They're going to need that. So
Okay, yeah.
Let's
no, we've got, yeah, we're on target. We're good.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So, so Tim, I think you were also kind of diving into this when we were reviewing this together. You asked some questions about the percentage of fleets that would be impacted by.
Yeah. So let's say I'm contracted with the government entity of some type. This now applies to me. Is that correct? First of all.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. And let's say, if I'm reading these tables correctly, so I understand them, I have 2 trucks. So in 2030, I only have 2 trucks. I can't have 10% of my fleet size be ZEV. Same thing with 2033, 25%. However, in 2036, if I still have those 2 trucks, one of them is going to have to be ZEV. Is that what I'm saying?
Yep. You hit the nail on the head. So I think it's really important to understand this table. If you choose this pathway versus the pursuit schedule, this is the milestone schedule. This is the requirement associated with overtime.
Okay, that's interesting to know. I'm putting myself on mute every now and then because I've got a little cough. All right, poll question number 3. You can go ahead over that one, Lisa. Oh,
yeah. So what is your biggest concern about adopting zero emission technology? And we'll give you a few minutes or a few seconds up to a minute to get answered.
Yeah, this one's going to be an interesting one. I think I know the answer, though. Looks like we got a 3-way tie there. Oh, looks like infrastructure is starting to get up there. Let us know when that's. It actually tells us when it's done there. Okay.
Yeah, Tim, you're going to have to control it because I can't see it since I'm in presentation mode.
Understood. No. Yeah, and I'll control it. It's still in progress. Interestingly enough, infrastructure is one of the biggest concerns so far. Cost and range. We always know that that's going to be a big one. But actually, what's interesting is range is starting to be a more concern over cost. Payload, interestingly enough, is less of a concern, with confidence being at the very end there. But infrastructure, 47%. Now, this doesn't necessarily have a 100% turnout here. It doesn't add up to 100%. But you have range is the second highest concern. Cost is the third highest concern, but infrastructure is the highest concern. So it's ended. So that's interesting. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. There we go. Lisa, this WARE program and the clean truck port. You want to go over this with us?
Yeah. So this is the rules and regulations centered around the types of technologies that you're going to have to drive if you want to do business at the port, if you want to do business with a warehouse. So this is how these regulations somehow give that sticking carrot, right? So, the stick is on diesel and you get a trip penalty fee at the ports versus driving a ZEV. You don't have a fee, so there's privileges, and then there's a stick, right? In the WARE program, I think we're seeing 4,000 warehouses impacted in California. And interestingly, in January 2026, over 700 were issued violations. And so this program requires these facilities that are over 100,000 square feet or more to report and decarbonize their fleet activities with that facility, whether that's installing infrastructure to support cleaner technologies, whether it's the truck that's coming in and out of that facility, same thing. So there's all this point system related to the violation. So in 2026, they just announced, they haven't come up with the way it's going to be managed in terms of the exact benefit, but 60 million in violations was collected in revenue that is now produced an incentive funding program from these collected fees. And so we'll be hearing more about that. AQME just developed this program, so it's a brand new program. And again, that comes from the WARE program. And so you're seeing that zero emissions is really a solution to how you're going to do business far in the future. And so when you do think about that diesel truck and the age of it currently, you might want to think about, Tim, you keep saying this all the time to our customers, right? Even if it's just one truck, right? So you can remove those penalties at the port. You can guarantee yourself business with warehouses because you're assisting them by providing more credits that help eliminate those violations and penalties around facilities.
Wow, interesting. So a lot of subsidies out there. Definitely, they're like, you know, like we were talking about just not too long ago. There's still a lot of programs, and they're probably going to get more programs that are going to continue to incentivize this sector and help people get into these trucks. Can you expand on that, on these programs?
Yeah, just like HTA was mentioning earlier, you know, I mean, this is the carrot, you guys, and it's kind of this point of these subsidies are not meant to last forever, and we've seen them come and go. But this is where we sit today. This is for your medium heavy duty tractor. In the zero emission program or the zero emission vehicles for HVIP funding, we've got up to beginning at 120,000 for a BEV, all the way up to 330,000 in HVIP for a rebate. And in your fuel cell tractor, you've got $240,000 beginning up to $420,000. And that doesn't include additional 100,000 if you're a small fleet to add to that rebate amount. But the funding amount today in HVIP is $233 million. So you've got 88 million in the standard HVIP program. Drayage has got about 111 million. Small fleets has got 29 million, and public has got 5 million. And then if you move to the far right there, you get in the upper right-hand corner, you can see we've got this new program called the California Clean Fuel Rewards Program. It's estimated to have about 300 million that's going to be available, and that should be launching in the next 30 or less than 60 days from now. And the base voucher for the Class 8 tractor will be Class 8. This is only for BEVs. It will also be stackable. In the lower left-hand corner, you can see the WARE program that I was just sharing in the last slide. This is going to be 60 million. It's in certain communities associated with the violation. So there's deeper details to go into that. Los Angeles and Inland Empire have the highest amount of funding available, and that'll cover 85% of the cost. And then we go to the far right, you can see the SCE drayage truck rebate program's got 105 million in it right now. And a Class 8, this is just for BEVs, has $150,000 in it. So these are ways to start to imagine how you're going to find that solution, Tim.
No, there's plenty of money out there. And like you were saying, a lot of ways to stack and move this around. So they're definitely incentivizing, these zero emission trucks. Absolutely. You can go to the next slide.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing about subsidies, you guys, is that it's complex, right? And this is only some of them. There's still the Cara Moyer. I was in a meeting 2 weeks ago, and Cara Moyer is trying to reimagine what they're going to do with the scrapping portion. They're not indicating it's going to go away, but they realize it's an issue. And so we're finally having these discussions with these funding programs that have existed forever, but they're not working with the intent that they're designed for. So they're more or less antiquated. So yeah, I think 2026 is the time to have a voice to help shape the regulations. And then we're going to see what's going to really happen in 2027, is how I imagine it.
All right, we got our poll question number 4. Let's go ahead and get that one going there. So when do you plan to start electrifying your fleet? So is it already started, immediately, 1 to 3 years, 4+ years, or never? And so right off the bat, it's already started. Seems to be a good portion of that. Actually, a large portion of that. So interesting enough, never is, second place. It's already started or never is the 1 and 2s right now. So, but with already started is a major. It's way out front there, which is really 56. Yeah, it's 56% of what? Now it's 59%. So 59% of these choices. Then now it's 56. It's still in progress, but for right now, the majority of them, this question is already started. And that's a large majority. The second percentage is never at 22%. So immediately there's 0, and there's a few in there like 17 and 6% respectively at 1 to 3 months. 1 to 3 years and 4+ years. So I'm sure this thing's about winding up here in just a second, but immediate. Yeah, there we go. So
3 years, how many? Or immediately was 0, and then 1 to 3 years was how many?
No, already started 53%. The next one in second is 26% with never, and then there's nothing in there with immediately.
It's that 1 to 3 years where I think we really need to be finding a way to continue to connect with, right? Because obviously, if there's any aged out trucks, it'll be interesting to see how we can coordinate information that we share and how we do our outreach, even with HTA, on how we can connect these dots so that those fleets that are interested really get an opportunity to find those solutions that will help them.
All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so you want to talk about some of the other programs that are also out there that people can look at in the near future, and some really interesting things that are going on in hydrogen.
Yeah, you guys, this is really mind-blowing, I think, in the way that we can look to the future. We've had interest that certainly upticked prior to 2025, and 2024 and 2023 were really good years for this technology. And we see that 2025 had some traction, not the deliverables that we had seen previously, but it's to be determined. But this program, I think, is interesting because it's centered around the technology. So in the upper left-hand corner, you're seeing the truck loaner program. This is an AQMD program that's got $16 million in funding in it. It's going to give you a free truck rental with free fueling. This program will be launched by summer. And it supports class 4 to class 8 trucks. It's in 4 different communities: South or West Los Angeles, or West Long Beach, Southeast Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, and San Bernardino, a community called Moscow. So $16 million is going to be available with funding to, if there's high demand, this funding could potentially increase. This comes from funding that's called the 8617 funding, which always has continuous funding. So this is the first of its kind. Port of Oakland just launched something like this, and I think Port of Long Beach and Los Angeles are going to be doing something similar. So this allows them to rent daily, weekly, or monthly a truck. In this particular program, we're also giving you the fueling with the truck. In the far lower right-hand corner, you're seeing, this is brand new. This is the Port of Long Beach for all of you out there with a fuel cell tractor. This is guaranteed price of hydrogen at $7.50 a kilogram. This assumes that you're going to have a fixed amount on the retail pump price. I think it's a max of $30, and they'll guarantee you $7.50. That equates to a little less than $1 per mile. This competes with diesel. This competes with BEVs. There's $10 million in funding. We can anticipate up to maybe 2 years, but it will really depend on the demand. You do need to send an application to the Port of Long Beach to get signed up, and they'll reimburse you for refueling. So these are game changers, and I think we'll see more of this to come as we start to listen to what the stakeholders need in funding programs to make this technology affordable for them.
Wow.
Hey, Lisa, Tim, could I really quick on that slide? Can you go back really fast? The AQMD truck loaner program in Oakland, we're working through the details on that. What we're finding back from feedback from our members up in Oakland is that the hardest thing is going to be insuring them. And so AQMD up there is, they're looking at how to get around that, right? Because that's going to be the most difficult thing, is this truck loaner program and how to get insured. And because insurance is so high on these units that, you know, there's not a market at this point. So it's learning to be a little challenge up there, but we're working with Port of Oakland and AQMD up there to try to get that thing up and running. As far as the hydrogen, you're right, it's $30 max. So if it goes over the retail price over $30, it's only going to be you know, $22.50 minus that. And so it may go up higher than $7.50. If it's like $35, for example, they're only going to be able to go back $22.50 from that. So it'll still be higher than $7.50, but you know, that's assuming it goes over $30.
Yeah, those are. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what we're seeing right now in the market in the heavy duty fueling, we're seeing no more than $26. So I think we're in a good spot.
Right.
And yeah, we did submit a couple of applications for the Port of Oakland, so optimistic, but you're exactly right. This insurance and the financing are issues that all of the associations, the stakeholders, the OEMs and their commercial finance, all of us need a seat at the table, right? We need to solve these deeper problems that go after you want to buy a truck. How do I get insured and how do I get financed?
Yeah. Good point. Great questions and great, you know, just debating here with this all that's going on. There's just so many. This is why it's so complex. There's just so many different ways to go. Go ahead, Lisa, and let's go over this infrastructure and equipment. There's some programs around this as well.
Yeah, and I got a 5-minute timeline, so I'm going to just kind of slide to the last. We have like 3 slides left. So this is the infrastructure and equipment. What I'm going to speak to is saying that Energize right now has 80 million available. Megawatt chargers have 10 million for equipment. Drayage has 40 million. Fast Track has 30 million. SCE has infrastructure funding that was put aside for up to 500 sites and $356 million. There's only 120 sites that have completed in the program. 300 are pending. So that program is open until the end of this year. But applications are only allowed through summertime. I think they're going to end at the end of June. This is real stuff, you guys. Tom's has done multiple. We help our customers do these programs for free. All we want to do is be a conduit to help you get the truck. This money is real. So just make sure that when it comes to these solutions, all the money that's out there, it seems overwhelming. It seems complex. It's all complex. It's super hard. Eligibility is confusing. But there are, Tom's Trucks is one of these locations, and I know Harbor Trucking does a lot of programs to make sure we're educating, but we're here to help and really open, whether you buy a truck or not, we still want to help find a way to share this information that is meant for you to spend. Gotcha. And here's our last poll question, Tim.
All right. So let's go ahead and roll with this one here real quick because we're running out of time to answer questions. What is your preferred charging refueling strategy? So notice one of those says does not apply. Might be to the diesel operators out there, but on-site fuel depot, public or retail, hydrogen, and or trucks or charging as a service, which is another thing that's gaining popularity as well. So a lot of on-site depot. Seems like that one's out there in front, but also does not apply. It's close second. Very little, there's only one vote there for hydrogen, 2 votes there for public and retail for either charging or fuel. All right, so it ended there. So yeah, on-site fleet depot is number 1, which does not apply, is down there with 5 votes. So not a whole lot of participation in this votes, but interestingly enough, that's a lot of on-site fleet depots more than does not apply. So that's good. Let's go to the next slide. I think it might be our last slide. Is that it? Okay, yeah. So, and I'm going to go through this quick so we can go ahead and answer questions. Big takeaways is that gasoline, diesel trucks are still available. However, there's a lot of challenges. There's ways to be able to extend the life of the truck that you're using now. But there are a lot of incentives, and like we were talking about before, there's a lot of things going on right now to incentivize even more towards us, adopting these new technologies, whether it's hydrogen or battery electric. So very, very interesting. A lot of dynamics, a lot of complexity, and this is up to date as of right now, but it could change here in the near future, and hopefully maybe we could do another one of these. But let's get to some Q&A because we only got about 4 minutes here.
Yeah.
Okay, we have had a couple of questions come in. The first one is, how much is a wear credit when a ZEV delivers to a warehouse?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I'd have to look at the table, but I want to say, I don't know. I'd have to look at the table. There is a table that gives you for the amount of miles it drives annually and the size of the vehicle, and you get points. I'd have to pull up the tables. I don't have it in front of me, but it's a definite solution towards incentivizing the points that you need to avoid the penalties.
So maybe that's something that we can research and email back to HTA to be able to share with all the members.
Yep. Anybody who is on the call, we'll make sure that we get them back your answers.
You bet.
Perfect. And the next question is a kind of a multi-part question, starting with, are all fleets operating in the ports mandated to use R99 fuel only? That's the first part of the question.
I didn't hear you.
Are all fleets operating in the ports mandated to use R99 fuel only?
Is R90? What? I don't even know what R99 is. Is that B99?
I'm not sure. I'll read the rest of the question. What are the maintenance issues that fleets see, and is mileage reduced versus diesel?
I'm only hearing part of her. Someone's also going to have to listen in because I can't hear Nicole very well.
Yeah, I believe it's on the diesel side on the certain type of fuel and using that fuel and how it would affect the maintenance and of the truck and maybe the life of the truck. I don't know. We're like so ZEV heavy. It's something I'm probably going to have to look up and actually study to be able to get back.
Someone just wrote in, RD99 is renewable diesel, and no, renewable they are mandated to meet emission requirements.
Yeah, so I don't know what engines are available for the 99 right now. So we'd have to look at that. And there's new information that I know is fluid in discussions right now for the renewable gas is available, and then renewable CNG is taking advantage of those gases, just like hydrogen will be as well. So good question, more to come, because these newer technologies that are going to be available certainly need to have support from the OEM side as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time for one more question. If I add a gas unit to my fleet, will that help with compliance to the ACF regulation?
Lisa? If they gas
is not gasoline in terms of is not regulated as it relates to the clean truck check, and for ACF it's just a percentage of your fleet is going to be managed. So depending on what milestone or model year schedule you were under, if you were under the model year schedule, then you would be having to have a percentage of your fleet needs to be ZEV. So it doesn't matter whether you have gas or something else, it's just the percentage of your fleet needs to be ZEV. And if you're under the model year schedule, or was that the milestone? That was the milestone schedule. I was talking the milestone schedule. Milestone schedule is a percentage of your fleet over time. That's that one. So then the model year schedule is just if you buy 2 trucks brand new today, one has to be a ZEV. So gas doesn't have an impact directly.
Correct. So yeah, gasoline doesn't, right. Gasoline doesn't necessarily. It's not. The answer is no. It does not give you credit towards that mandate. Well, you know what I want to do, Lisa, is I'm sure there's a lot more questions we weren't able to get to, unfortunately, because of our technical issues. But I'm sure, Nicole, you can probably gather those up. We'll answer those and get that back to HTA to share with the members.
Lisa, thank you Tim, Lisa, thank you so much for your help. Great information. I'm sure we'll get back to everybody who was registered and all your responses. So we appreciate your guys' involvement in presenting the information. Very informative.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Well, good. That's what we were hoping to accomplish. And we really appreciate the opportunity to go over that stuff. Thank you.
Take care, you guys.